Say what? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another Average Podcast. We are here, and we're going to have some technical difficulties. Things come up today. It is our first stream, so we are excited to get started and talk about all fun things regarding Bigfoot. You know, the most well-known cryptid that is, I don't know, just the most well-known cryptid. So I'm excited to talk about all things Bigfoot, from the origin of to the stories of, share some clips, share some pictures, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get into all of it. And of course, I'm not going to be able to do this myself or by myself. So we have brought in the wonderful and amazing, talented Mitchie to be here with us. So everybody say hello to Mitchie. Hello, Mitchie.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Are you ready to talk all things Bigfoot?
I'm ready. Are you?
I am so ready. Yes, we got a big fun-filled evening for you. We're going to go live for about an hour. We're going to do this at least once a week, possibly twice a week, but we are going to put in some videos occasionally as well. So we're going to do that stuff. So anyway, let's talk about Bigfoot. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's get after it. All right, guys, we have a lot to cover in this time. We've got, Bigfoot started around, a lot of the origin stories start around late 1800s to 1900s, based on, specifically over here in the US, I should say, because a lot of things came out of the Pacific Northwest around Bigfoot. Loggers started reporting sightings and vandalisms and different things that were going on. So, that's kind of where the mainstream Bigfoot came along. But Bigfoot has been around for ever. Native Americans talked about it. Other parts of the world talked about it. There are actual, animals or species that existed millions of years ago that could explain Bigfoot. We might get into later, but they may not. A lot of people think it's kind of like Loch Ness Monster, where it's a dinosaur left over or some sort of thing that's lasted the test of time. But it's a little bit far-fetched on that angle from me. There's a lot of things that people say Bigfoot, in general. I'll read you some of the notes that I took, because Sasquatch is described as a primate ranging from 6 to 15 feet. That's quite a stir. What do you think of that? 6 to 15 feet.
I like it.
I mean, but I'm not saying that it's just a wide gap. Like, that's double the size.
Should we just say that you're the skeptic first, and
Well, no.
I are you a healthy skeptic?
Okay, well, let me, you're right. Because this is our first podcast, we should explain some things. The way I like to put things is that when I think about the difference between Mitchie and I am what I call the healthy skeptic, where everything, when I hear about it, I am skeptical at first and then do research to find out whether or not it's true. Mitchie is quite the opposite. She is way more believe it at first until it's proven otherwise. So she'll do the same research, but she'll start from a belief level and then work her way down or solidify her belief.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of opposite in that. You have any comments on that, Mitchie?
I mean, I've never heard of somebody say a healthy skeptic, but because you need like someone that has credentials in that field to prove it, disprove it, whatever it is.
I mean, but it's hard to prove anything with science this way, because there are still scientists who believe and scientists who don't believe. And so, a lot of this stuff is going to come through tons of research and what you believe is the most legitimate research, So, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to believe. I want to believe, no question.
And I'm over here wearing my tinfoil hat.
Yeah, absolutely. As you should, girl. As you should. And guys, just real quick question: is the audio coming through okay on both sides? And I don't worry,
Well, nobody said that they can't hear me.
Mitchie is going to get a camera
matters.
that is even better quality than mine, because we all know that
Mine's fine.
That the camera on Mitchie needs to be clearer than mine, anyway. So Yeah. So, all right. So there's a lot of people
I
also
feel like
that,
my laptop or my camera would have been.
well, your laptop, it might have, but then we wouldn't have gotten to show off this really cool background that we set up for you over here in your studio. So yeah. Anyway,
In my corner.
so Bigfoot's described as a primate, which is an interesting thing because there's actually a large belief on both sides. And this is a good question to maybe debate. A lot of people, myself included, picture Bigfoot as a large primate. I almost called it a primate. Primate, meaning it's more in the gorilla category than human. But there's a lot of people that believe that Bigfoot is actually like a Neanderthal man, that it's a 6 foot hairy humanoid versus. So, do you have any thoughts on that? What do you picture as Bigfoot when you think Bigfoot?
Big, hairy gorilla man running around.
So, do you lean more towards the ape side, or do you lean more towards the human side, or is it equal? It's just like a
It's just equal. It's
man
just
ape man, or
ape
ape
man,
woman.
8 man.
Okay.
But with some really good hide and seek
Hey,
superpowers.
let's not sugarcoat it. He is the hide and seek champion of all time. That's pretty. That is without a doubt
Pretty much.
the facts right there. So, um, yes, we have a comment here that says just because a bipedal hominid can exist doesn't mean that it does. I agree. But at the same time, you can't underestimate the number of sightings that have happened worldwide. And we're going to get into what, Bigfoot origins in other countries and all over the world because, Bigfoot isn't just a creature of the Pacific Northwest. In fact, there are sightings in every single state of the United States, which brings up its own, it brings up its own issues, but we'll get it.
Well, the problem is with Bigfoot is that everybody has made so many like stories up and
That's an absolute fact. I agree.
so I mean,
With a
I
lot
think
of the topics that we're going to talk about, that's going to be true. Because a lot of these things have been hoaxed so many times that it is hard to understand what's real and what's not. There are definitely real sightings that might have turned out to be bears walking on 2 feet or something misidentified, but there are so many hoaxes that it makes it hard to. Well, you gave me that look. What do you got?
so riddle me this, Batman.
Deal.
I'm going to use your words. So if all these states have made the law where you cannot go hunt Bigfoot,
Correct.
I mean, the law, it's a law that you can't go and do that. That means, I mean, why would they make that? Why would they make that up? Why would they make that law if there wasn't Bigfoot?
Okay. All right. So let me explain my theory behind that. Because if you guys don't know, there are a lot of states that have laws about that are
There's three
okay. There's 3 states
or
that
3 or 5, 3 to 5.
well, there's several states that have laws that prevent you from hunting Bigfoot. Now, number one, hunting Bigfoot means shooting and killing, hunting it like that, versus like going out in the woods and looking for it isn't hunting. So I think it has more to do with the protection of an unknown species that might be potentially near extinction because there's so few. Yeah, I mean, they haven't even been found yet, so we don't know. If we're going to find one, we want to capture it, do research, all that stuff. So killing a Bigfoot is illegal, and also is probably to protect the environment, keep people out of the woods and during times of year. I'm just saying there
I feel
are
like you just
legitimate
made
reasons
that. I feel
why.
like you just said that to make yourself feel like
It's
you're
just my opinion.
validating your feelings on it.
That's just my opinion. I don't know. So,
But why make a? I mean, it'd be like saying, do you see any states that say you cannot go hunt aliens? No. I looked it up.
no.
I just looked it up.
Okay. I mean, that's a valid point. I agree. I mean, I don't.
I'm just saying, I think there is
It's
a
probably
Bigfoot. I think there is a Bigfoot. I think that sitting at Area 51 right now.
Oh, so you think it's a government conspiracy theory that they're covering up Bigfoot because nobody... Okay,
Why
okay.
wouldn't you?
There's a comment that says that the Great Bigfoot Museum here in my home state of Georgia in the Blue Ridge that I suggest y'all check out. I definitely will check that out. Absolutely. As actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we might have a video of a Bigfoot in that area, but I could be wrong. I might be thinking of something else.
For protected, it must first be.
That's true. They have to identify that it's real for it to be protected. All right, I'll give you that. Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. All
Sorry.
right. No,
I had to because
that's fair. I just think that I don't have enough information on the laws and why they were written, but there's also laws that you can't, bring your horse into the.
horses are real.
But I'm just saying that there are laws that are really bizarre that are on the books.
They might be bizarre, but it's based off of real things, and somebody probably once did it.
Sure, it exists. The laws exist for a reason. That something happened. But all right, so I'm gonna get okay. All right, so let me get back to explaining Bigfoot real quick because he's 6 to 15 feet tall, standing erect on 2 feet, often giving off a foul smell. Which we hear about that a lot. We hear a lot about how you can smell it before you see it.
I think you can probably buy their urine on Etsy.
You can't buy their urine on Etsy.
I watched something that you could buy their urine, and it helps urine. Like attract them for you to be their mate.
Footprints that measure up to 24 inches, 2 feet long. Those are some big feet, obviously, hence the name, and 8 inches in width. There was a Soviet scientist, Boris Porshnev, suggested that Sasquatch and his Siberian counterpart, and here it says the Almas, but I'm going to argue that we're looking more at Yeti and the Abominable Snowman in that regard.
Wait, what's evil?
Almas is what I said, which there's an Almas or an Almas or something. We'll get into that here in a second.
Okay.
Could be a remnant of Neanderthals, but most scientists do not recognize this creature's existence. Okay, so that is one scientist that thinks that they're Neanderthals versus an ape-like creature.
So they're the wild people out in the Appalachian Mountains.
I don't know about that. But I do know that they have a very distinct sound. And you can see YouTube videos all over the place with that, with the howl of a Bigfoot, or what they say is the howl of a Bigfoot.
They have like a little toy that you can do it with, like the train set, like the little train blower thing. Sorry.
No, I don't think Bigfoot's playing with toys. Is that what you're saying? Or are you
saying?
Yeah,
it's like, no, they have they have a duck collar thing, or
right.
They have
we can buy a Bigfoot collar.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant Bigfoot was out there blowing a horn, doing something weird. That's anyway.
No, but you should go back to the origins of Bigfoot.
Yeah, so a lot of it came again through North American settlers started reporting sightings during the 1800s and 1900s, mostly because the loggers were complaining of people breaking in and vandalizing, and they were putting it on this creature, which was bringing more attention to their industry and so forth. So there's a lot of reasons why people say that they did this and why they didn't. And in some cases, a lot of the loggers that did report it came out later as a hoax.
I was talking about like the Indians.
So, okay.
Because you are so against this theory.
Well, no, because when you look at Bigfoot from a Native American folklore standpoint, Bigfoot is less of a real creature and more of a spiritual. So seeing Bigfoot is an indication of bad things going to happen, sort of like the Mothman. It's more of a supernatural being, not versus a real thing. And so, yes, I have a hard time with that. Just for that reason.
I'm going to say portal.
Oh no, we're not talking about portals. Although that's kind of what happens with in some of that Native American lore, which they didn't call him Bigfoot. They have other names for him. I will look in here.
Well, because each type of like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want, whatever they're called, they symbolize something different. Each one of them does. Like, what did I look up?
They do.
What was it? The Yeti. he protects from evil spirits or evil beings, evil
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
So each one has their own like a protector almost of something. But so is it. So is it a real like ape
Well, I mean,
man thing running out there, or is it like a paranormal thing, or is it all the
so
above? Like, did
I
it
mean,
get
I
the
think the general consensus is, if you're a believer in Bigfoot, is that it's an actual creature. I think the majority of believers in Bigfoot think it's an actual creature.
yeah?
I think that there are myths and legends and things, folklore, all that stuff that go back and talk about the, you know, the spirituality of it or the reason that they're there or whatever else. Because we have a ton of different, you brought it up, obviously this is who we think of as Bigfoot. When we see Bigfoot, we're kind of thinking of the Patterson-Gimlin film. This is the most famous, I think, the most famous image of, which we'll get into the video later, but this is the most famous image. Oh, this is so far enhanced, it's crazy. Yes. In fact, it makes it look fake looking at it that way. But, you know, that's the Sasquatch we know. 1951, 50, 67. I was way
And
off.
where did they? And so they found they found the suit where?
Huh?
Well, you said it's fake, so where did they get the
I didn't
suit?
say it was fake. I just said that this image, the way that they've enhanced it, almost makes it look fake.
I know.
This is not the video.
Believe it?
Well, let's. There's okay. I have differing thoughts on that, so we're gonna get into that. But I want to go through all the different big feet, or whatever you want to call them, the relatives of Bigfoot, and kind of their ancestry over time, where they came from, and their origin story as well. So, so this is obviously from the Patterson-Gimlin film. This came out of the Pacific Northwest, and it's Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it. Bigfoot craze, the current Bigfoot craze started in the 1950s, but Native Americans knew about Sasquatch long before the Europeans arrived. Some tribes saw it as a forest spirit, and others just another being that shared the land with them. So let's see. The next up, we have the Yeti. So the Yeti is essentially the snowy counterpart. Yeah, I know it's well, my personal favorite. This is when I think of the Yeti, or abominable snowman, as we call him. This to me is the abominable snowman. This is Bumble, but in all seriousness, Bigfoot in the snow, white fur, lives in the mountains, that kind of thing. Stalking the regions around the Himalayas, and sometimes called the abominable snowman. The Yeti is probably the next best known cousin of Bigfoot. Sightings of this creature have it pegged as a dead ringer for the North American Sasquatch, and then they talk about the Bigfoot giganto, which comes from, let's see, the theory may explain how both the Sasquatch and Yeti came into existence in Asia long ago. It's possible they may trace their lineage back to a massive ape called Gigantopithecus blacki. It was a 10-foot tall monster, and some researchers believe that it may have evolved into what we now know as Bigfoot and Yeti. That's where some of that origin comes from. We also, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I like this question that was on here.
Okay.
Sorry, not to stray from your stuff.
No.
But if you saw a Bigfoot, what would you do? I'd be like the Hendersons. It'd be coming home with me.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that more. For sure, going to talk about that more because there's a consistent theme to all the videos we're going to watch. And as we watch the videos, you're going to see, and I'm going to comment on that, what I think I would do and what I would do are most likely very, very different. So, I mean, what do I...
Be no different than living with you.
I mean, I'd like to think that, I woke up in a fire one time, and the ceiling above my head was on fire. If I would have thought about that, I would like to think that I would get up, react, very I would react very normal, and that I would be very with it and aware, and I would protect everybody and do all the things that I need to do. And instead, I literally like jumped on the bed and screamed at the top of my head and freaked out. Screamed at the top of my head and freaked out. Like, you don't really know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. I would have thought I would have been calm, cool, and collective, and I was not. So that's a hard question to answer.
You'd run like Scooby Doo all over again.
So that's going to come up later. We'll discuss it because that is possibly. All right, so those are Bigfoot and Yeti.
I would offer Jeremy as a sacrifice.
As a sacrifice. That's not a bad idea. So next up, we go to Florida, and down in Florida, they have what's known as the skunk ape. This is supposedly a photo that came off of a trail cam. Looks too colorful and vivid to be a trail cam, or maybe it was somebody's back. I think it might have been somebody. I'll read here. Bigfoot of Florida in the southern United States. He's just as big and scary, but ups the bar with the added benefit of a horrific stench. It's claimed he gets his illustrious odor, interesting, by hanging out in the methane-packed bogs, but it's really anyone's guess. With dense and dangerous swamps, parts of Florida and other southern swamps are ideal habitats for a large creature that doesn't want to be spotted. Bigfoot seems to make his home there, and who could blame him? There are some interesting evidence for the skunk ape over the years. Perhaps the most notably, a decade or so ago, a woman claimed a large animal had been stealing apples from her porch. She set up a camera and snapped a few pictures, and the result was this picture. So that's where we get this picture. That's the skunk ape in Florida. Plenty of hiding spots, I guess, out there in swamps and so forth. So
that definitely doesn't look like a.
I mean, it looks like a ape-like creature, but it's definitely
a chili bowl haircut.
Chili bowl. Look at that. So it looks like a large ape creature, but that I don't know. That could be a man in a ghillie suit. I don't know if that's the Flash or White from his
skunk ones, because they send all the grandma and grandpas down there because they are like gray and white.
They call they call like them skunk apes because they stink like a skunk. They smell really, really bad.
Well, they don't smell good anyway.
Moving on, we're going to go over to Australia because Australia has its own Bigfoot as well, or Bigfoot-like creature. Unfortunately,
still look like a kangaroo.
Unfortunately, it's not. It's so unidentified that they don't even have a real picture of it. This is the Yowie. The Yowie was from the outback of Australia, and by many accounts, it's another version of Bigfoot. So the Yowie is explained as an ape-like hominid. In others, it is more primitive human living in the outback. Aboriginal legend doesn't clear things up much, but like Native Americans in North America, they do have a history of the creature dating back hundreds and even thousands of years. So this is going to come into play more when we talk about this Gigantopithecus blackie that it could have been. The problem with that theory is that Australia is a giant island. How did they get from there to there? Not that maybe the continents were all connected at some time. I don't know, but that's the Yowie.
You know what that looks like?
What's that look like?
Looks like a crossbreed between a boar and a kangaroo.
A boar and a kangaroo. That does not look like a boar or a kangaroo, but it has some massive fangs. Yes, he is absolutely the hide and seek champion of all time. All right, so let's go on to the next one. The Almas, also known in Mongolia as a hairy bipedal humanoid-like creature. The Almas is more this style. Again, no, rumored pictures, no, I don't know, hoax pictures, anything else. This is just what we got. It's the best I could find on the internet. So, unlike the neighboring Yeti, they are believed to be more human than apes, but just as elusive. This is not unlike many tales of wild men in Asia and Eastern Europe. So, yeah, they talk a lot about the wild men in a lot of the older legends as well. And that leads back down the path of these are more human-like creatures than ape-like. You taking notes over there?
Someone suggested to watch Survivor Man Bigfoot series, so I was writing it down.
Okay, all right, good call. Theories abound as to the origin of the Amish, but some researchers believe that maybe a living population of an earlier human ancestor that may have somehow survived extinction. You know, Loch Ness monster type style. So it opens up an interesting discussion in Bigfoot debate, as some researchers believe Sasquatch is actually a species of primitive human, not ape. So rather than an ancient Asian ape surviving
Say
extinction,
that 10 times
I
fast.
know, and populating the world, could it be that an unclassified species of humans exist out there undetected? I mean, you think it's kind of both.
So, okay, just go with me for a second.
I'm with you.
Okay, so
More than the
I
train.
know there's somebody that, I mean, I know it's like a medical thing, but he was in the circus, but it was the guy that was completely hairy from head to toe, and
Yes,
I can't
they're
remember the name.
genetic diseases
Yes,
or genetic conditions. I don't know if you
yes.
call them diseases,
So why is
but they're
that
conditions.
any different? I mean, it's different because
Well, what do we just watched something on that, and I know it was a fictional show, but it was about somebody who was being accused of murder, and they said it was a giant hairy man, and it was somebody with that
with
condition.
JJ, the one
Yeah,
with JJ, yeah.
and it was somebody with that medical condition.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that does exist, but are they hiding out in the woods for
No,
that
I mean,
reason?
but okay, so why is it so far off that, you know, listen, we've talked about like the evolution stuff or whatever, but what if the disease that they have or the medical thing that they have is something that we got from Bigfoot. Maybe we all came from Bigfoot.
No,
I don't know.
no.
I'm just saying, what if they share that same?
Okay, so a humanoid creature that shares that same genetic feature
Yes.
is more likely than it's something that we caught from Bigfoot. But
I'm not
I
saying
get
we
what your
caught
point is.
it like COVID or whatever.
Right. But so, yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, people who are born with that medical condition have, they're not living out in the woods and hiding from people.
Do you get where I'm going with that, though?
That they might be taking a walk in the woods and
Like,
somebody takes a picture of them and freaks out?
no.
What? They don't.
No, I mean, like, what if that part that they have with them is the same? Like, what if they're a carrier too of it, but they are not civilized?
I'm saying that would be the case if they were human-like creatures or
But now
humanoids in
you
some
gotta
way.
think, do you believe like in Bigfoot as like a creature out in the woods, or do you believe in it as a paranormal, like,
No, because
but
you posed 3 questions. You posed, is it a human-like creature living in the woods? Is it a paranormal type thing? But the third one is it an ape-like creature? So is it an ape-like creature, a human-like creature, or is it all in all just paranormal? I'm gonna give a hard pass to paranormal personally.
well, I know that one.
I'm gonna say that my I don't know my belief that if Bigfoot exists, it's going to be an ape-like creature. But that's just from what I know from the
If
videos.
you said if you
And
believe,
yeah, I mean, if it's proven that Bigfoot is real, then I think it'll be proven that he's an ape-like creature.
but a
Or
news
she.
article tomorrow could come out and say like, this is real, this is real, just like when the alien skeleton thing got released and everybody was saying it was real, and then all of a sudden it's not real.
Right.
So who has to say
You almost have to see it to believe.
okay
You almost have to lay your eyes on it to
with
believe it.
Bigfoot?
And it's sort of one of those things where if I saw Bigfoot, then I would become a believer in Bigfoot. But I would not expect anybody else to use my personal experience in seeing Bigfoot to base their decision that then therefore it must be real. So
And here's the
So we have
thing.
like 5 more of these things to go through.
Sorry.
No, I'm good with it. I just
So,
want to
well,
point it out.
but here's the thing. But we're talking about like, is he real or is he not? And where you and I are going back and forth because that is what we do because we have two different things that how we believe. So, but my thing is, I do believe that it is a paranormal thing though too because here's the thing that the Indians and all the ancient
Yeah,
ruins and all that other stuff that was like in the drawings
they
that have came up, they all like just they
they
all looked at him like he was an idol. Like it was just like,
they
and then they
certainly
always showed
spotted
like a
it long
portal
before we
thing.
did. They certainly spotted or created this long before we did, right? So Bigfoot can be traced back to, times unknown. I mean, back to early days of Native Americans before Western settlers came over. So, or before settlers came over. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, where does he land on that spectrum? I have
I
no
also
idea.
think they have a migration thing. Immigration
Yeah,
might
migration pattern,
I
that
about
might
said.
be. It might be. I mean, that would certainly explain why Bigfoot has been spotted in almost every single state in the United, or actually in every state. But every state in the United States and in other countries have heavily wooded areas enough that could provide a safe place for a Yeti or a Bigfoot to exist without being discovered. So let's go through a couple more of these because it does lead down the path of whether or not it's real or not
Oh,
real.
check that out. That's an interesting little comment.
What was that?
From Nick.
Um,
The last one, second to the last
are you saying what if it was a mutated bear?
one. No,
Oh,
that
Danny's got a great question too, or a great point too, though. And could it be a mutated bear? It could be. It absolutely could be. And I think in a lot of cases, in a lot of the videos we're going to see, I do think that it's quite possibly a bear.
and here's the thing with the Native Americans believing in that too is that I mean
I don't see the
they are
comment you're referring to, though.
oh
Sorry, I don't mean
you
to
don't see it
I see the if he exists,
from
can we agree is the ultimate hiding.
said Native Americans don't make up words for animals that don't exist. They have words in their vocabulary for Bigfoot.
That is a fact. In
Yes.
fact,
And they do have a very strong belief system in a lot of this stuff that skeptics may say isn't real. And I mean,
I don't have that
it's
again.
hard. It's hard not to believe when you do hear about this stuff and it comes from them because I don't know. I guess I believe.
Well,
Well,
there are
I believe
very
they're true. I believe that way of thinking of how they thought. I guess.
well. In addition to that, there's some truth to Native American spirit experiences, obviously, into what they believed and what they knew at the time, based on the information they had at the time and how they believed it. I'm not questioning that for 1 second. I'm questioning whether there's an ape-like creature living in the woods, hiding from us all. I that Okay, so I'm just going to jump the gun here for a second because the whole point was to go through all of
I'm
these.
sorry.
No, 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 I'm not saying it to you, but just for clarification here. The whole reason to go through all of these, which there's, I don't know, 5 or 6 more, that there are Bigfoot like creatures that have been reported throughout the years from almost every country known to man. And so that leads credence to its actual existence. If it didn't exist, would all of these people from all of these countries for all of these years be reporting similar instances, similar sightings, and so forth? That does lead a little credence to the idea that maybe it's real. Now, at the same time, a good hoax can spread like wildfire too.
But each
So
country.
I'm just saying that they've all had various ones. So I want to get through the rest of these if I can, just to show off, because some of them make sense, some of them do not make sense. The Almas, we talked about that one. And then next we have the Grassman. The Ohio Grassman is believed to be a Bigfoot existing in a specific niche and surviving in the rich farmland of Ohio. And the reason that he can do that is because he can live there and he's got all kinds of crop that he can live off of, or I keep saying he, she, it, whatever it is. can live off of the land and live off of the crops that are harvested. Ohio and western Pennsylvania, in particular, excellent Bigfoot habitats with plenty of farms, water sources, game, and easy access to the Appalachian mountain range. Sightings and sightings and stories of the Grassman go back hundreds of years and continue to this day. So moving straight into the next one, this is one where I'm going to go a little bit sideways with it. Hailing from Canada, we have the Wendigo or the Wendigo.
Ooh, the Wendigo.
Yes, but now, right. So here's my problem with the Wendigo, and it's this image alone, because they talk about the Wendigo as though it is a Bigfoot. They do talk about the big as though he's Bigfoot. Although, if you Google Wendigo, it's like a man-like creature with like a reindeer head. It's like an evil deer head with antlers. So I'm a little bit confused on what the Wendigo actually is and where it stems from, because
you need to look up the legend of the Wendigo then.
Well, oh, there's my buddy. There's my buddy Bumble. All right, it says, hailing from the woods of Canada, the Wendigo is a big, hairy, man-like creature from Native American legend, but legends don't always think of it as an animal. Wendigo can be a creature that transforms from human and has very bad intentions. So that leads back down the path of the spiritual side of it. Some interesting hypotheses concerning Bigfoot have been born from the Wendigo legends. On one hand, perhaps the wild stories of the supernatural Wendigo stem from the sightings of a real creature like Bigfoot, and maybe Native Americans have expanded on the abilities of the creature, making it into some kind of spirit being. On the other hand, perhaps the legend of the Wendigo is proof that Bigfoot really only exists in the spirit realm and not in the real. Yeah, let's get back to you real quick.
I'm
yeah,
sorry. A little fun fact about that. I just looked something up.
No, absolutely.
So, in the psychiatry world, there's a disorder called the Wendigo psychosis.
Okay.
Because you just said like it's basically an evil spirit type thing. Well, the Wendigo psychosis is characterized by symptoms such as intense craving for human flesh and fear of becoming a cannibal.
Well, it's not a cannibal if it's an animal, but it is a cannibal if it's a human. That's interesting. Or human. Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to blow through the rest of these real quick.
Sorry, a little sidetrack with that.
No, we got the Wendigo. I don't even know how to pronounce this one. This is the orangapindek from Sumatra. It's only a few feet tall, so it's not really similar to Bigfoot in stature. These are actually just a couple of feet tall. They're just little guys. Yeah, they're little trolls. Definitely an example of a bizarre Bigfoot-like critter from an unexpected place, and there may be more similarities than I think. For one thing, if it is real, it raises the question of Bigfoot's origins. Could it be some kind of a pygmy version of the Bigfoot, or perhaps related species that went down some different evolutionary path? These are kind of responsible for, hobbit sightings, troll sightings, that kind of thing. Perhaps a relic population of the tiny hobbit humans found in the Isles of Florida. Whatever it is, Sumatra natives are seeing something strange in the jungles, and it appears to be a bipedal ape. So there you go, back to being an ape. This one. Have you seen this picture? This picture is disturbing. So the Mapinguari is one of the most debated of Bigfoot's cousins from around the world, hailing from the jungles of South America. Many accounts describe it as something similar to Sasquatch. It would make sense, as any Bigfoot population in North America could certainly matriculate down to South. However, other versions of the Mapinguari tale paint it as a far stranger creature with massive claws, backward-facing feet, which is weird, a repugnant stench, and a mouth on its stomach. Okay, so
like Stranger Things.
That looks a little bit, a little bit far-fetched. However, Some researchers who have dared to attempt to wade through the folklore say this is an odd but plausible description of a giant ground sloth.
Oh,
And a giant ground sloth is believed to have gone extinct long ago, but it's possible there is still a deep population deep in the jungle. More interesting still, do these different eyewitness accounts represent two separate creatures? So the
a
giant ground
ground.
sloths, if you Google giant ground sloth, they have like mouths on their stomach. They're big, giant, weird-looking creatures with the big claws. I mean, you can see a sloth-like creature in that.
Let me just look, because I feel like.
Yeah. Well, you look while I get into the last one, because the last one is the Yeren. Well, there's none in existence today, so you wouldn't actually see a real picture. So I don't know if you just looked up what'd you look up?
Giant ground sloth.
And it had an actual picture of it?
Yeah.
Because cameras weren't invented when they went extinct.
I mean, even they just don't look.
We're talking about dinosaur era giant ground sloths. But anyway, let me get into the last one real quick.
Oh.
The Yeren. The creature lives in the forests of China and is described as something very close to Bigfoot in size and appearance. What's interesting is that the Yeren hails from the general area of where Gigantopithecus, the ancient giant ape, is believed to have gone extinct. Equally interesting is that this beast shares a lot in common with the Mongolian almas. Also called the Chinese wild man, reports of this creature go back for generations, again like the Sasquatch in North America and the Yowie in Australia. Stories often contain a touch of mysticism, making it tough to discern if the Yeren is a flesh and blood creature or some kind of spiritual being dreamed up by local culture. What do you think on that?
That one looks like an orangutan.
So that was the last one of
Planet of the Apes.
Yes, that was the last one of the whatever it was, 9 various pictures of what these reported sightings from all around the world were.
Okay.
So if you could hang out with Bigfoot, what would you do? What would you do with it?
I'll let you answer that so I can let that thing out.
I think that if I discovered Bigfoot or I saw Bigfoot, ran into Bigfoot, I'm pretty sure that he would use me like a Stretch Armstrong and probably rip all of my limbs off of my body. So, also, do me a favor, Mitchie, keep me updated on comments in the chat because apparently it's not updating here on my end. I don't know how far back that comment was, but it is not updating. Recent. Okay. Mine is being very selective as to what comments it is sharing, but I'm using OBS Studio, and so not everything's coming through. Okay. Okay, so any thoughts on anything we've seen thus far before we get into actually watching some videos?
Well, are we discussing the Yeti thing, or is that here in a little bit?
No, we can now. I just wanted to. My biggest point in that was that just how it, since there are sightings worldwide for hundreds of years, it could lend some, truth to the existence of something. So where do you want to go with that? What do you have on the Yeti?
Well, you brought up the point earlier about, you can say it because I'll.
The Dyatlov Pass. So the Dyatlov Pass is one of the most bizarre, wildest stories. A group of Russian hikers, very highly experienced hikers, went out on a hike that they should have easily been able to do, or it was a very challenging trek, but these guys with their level of experience should have been able to do it. And ultimately they were found. Their tent had been torn open from the inside out, I believe. They were scattered amongst, there were 5 of them. Their bodies were scattered in various places. Some with no shoes, no clothes, anything else. Their bones had been like crushed.
One was missing like their eye.
Yes, there were body parts missing. There was all this
things that were broken.
Really traumatic things that happened to them
and
before
some not
they died.
at all.
And some not at all. So the legend or the story leads itself to many believe that is the responsibility of a Yeti or the abominable snowman. Now there are very scientific reports that say otherwise, but to this day, there's no real known explanation as to what happened to that crew of people. So your thought, Mitchie?
My thought was, I don't think it was the Yeti.
Okay.
I actually
You just changed your mind out just like that?
no, I never thought it was a
Oh,
Yeti.
I thought you thought it was a Yeti.
I never
Okay.
thought it was a Yeti. I thought that, no, you didn't ask me I didn't tell you my opinion on it.
I just thought by your response to my thought on what it was that
No,
you
because
thought
you
it was
would
a
think
Yeti.
my opinion would be the craziest one, which would be a Yeti.
Okay, well, no, let's get into what your theory is.
Oh, mine's government conspiracy. Oh.
That's a good point, though.
But the only reason I say that is because all they were doing was, and it's not the first time people went out there camping or to stay out there on that side of the mountain. And there was no storms that were supposed to be coming through, none of that other stuff to create any type of crazy storm to happen. And they were prepared for all of it,
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome. And there was never really investigations done on the bodies, none of that other stuff that just told you what was wrong with them.
Well, there was, but based on the year that it happened,
But
that they
one of
weren't
them
as
had so much
extensive as
radiation in their body.
correct. There were large amounts of radiation and various different things in their body. So, okay.
So I think there was a bunker on the side of that mountain.
Okay, so let me backtrack this and say a couple of things. Number one, there were theories that there was some sort of government testing of some sort of something that caused this. I don't know how it explains all of the details as to what happened. And then the more popular theory nowadays is that it was an avalanche. I don't necessarily even believe that one because what they say is that during an avalanche, the force of the ice and snow coming off the mountain could do that kind of damage to the body. What it doesn't explain is why were they outside of the tent? Why were they half clothed? Some had no shoes. Some had, I think, no clothes.
I understand when you're outside and you're cold and you get hypothermia.
So that leads down the hypothermia path.
Yes.
Correct.
But only with the clothes coming off. But at the end of the day, I mean, okay, besides all the other stuff, the radiation.
Okay, so before we go too much further on this,
I'm
going to put a little bow on
about this case.
I know, but I'm going to have to put a little bow on it because this does not. If you don't think it was the abominable snowman, and I don't think it was the abominable snowman, then this needs to be a podcast all on its own.
Well,
so can we do that? I know you want to share your stories now. I know you want to share your thoughts on it now. No, but if it's not related to Bigfoot, should we just wait and do an entire podcast? Well, you brought it up
earlier.
Because I thought so
you planted it.
But I planted it because one of the main beliefs in what happened was a Yeti.
The only so about the Yeti thing, and I said they were out there and they were camping and it was normal for that to happen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they said it was a Yeti. One of the things that they said was it was the Yeti. Well, how could it be if it's, I just don't understand how it could be the Yeti, I guess. I mean, so there's my answer. You asked for my answer earlier. Okay. I gave it to you.
All right. Well, then let's move on. Let's move forward and move on because it doesn't relate to what we're talking about. But a lot of
times what people do when it's like unexplained things like that, and it's like paranormal, unexplained, and it's never going to be solved, is that they use Bigfoot, Yetis.
I blame everything on UFOs. I blame everything on aliens. So I do. We'll get into that in other podcasts. This is the first of thousands of podcasts to come. We don't have to cover it all tonight. We'll cover Bigfoot and Yeti and the rest of these guys here in this one. And we have a bunch of videos that we want to show off. We want to talk about, Nick says LSAPC is back.
I know.
Yeah, no, I get it. And we have, yes, I think that this is what people want to see as our candid banter back and forth. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's show some videos and we'll watch them. We'll comment kind of through them. You guys will hear some audio. So if we're not loud enough, be sure to let us know. I don't know if you've seen all of them.
Okay.
We've obviously seen the most famous one, which is the Patterson-Gimlin film. I'm going to hold that one off to the end because I read something recently I didn't know, and I want to get into that as it relates to that one specific.
Oh,
So,
I bet I.
okay, so we're going to go first to the Marble Mountain Bigfoot. This is the Marble Mountain Bigfoot sighting, and here is the giant man walking down the side of a mountain. Now, this is very zoomed in. There's a lot of video on this. It actually goes on for 20 or 30 minutes, and they are very, very zoomed in here. They're claiming that this creature is throwing things.
He's shaking
but this is miles and miles away from where they are. And this led up to this because they found a spot that looked like a nesting ground or a big hut that was man-built, man-made something in the woods that looked like it could be a shelter of some kind.
He's going back and forth.
And then they looked up the mountain, and this giant thing is walking down the side of the mountain.
Now he's almost in the tree.
Where's John?
This, I believe it.
There he is.
That is.
Look like a person.
It does not look like a person.
Doesn't look like a person.
Its arms are way too big. Look at how long the hands hang down to the.
How can you see from
They're down to his knees at least, aren't they?
Look what I'm.
Yeah, and it was a family. It was like, I don't know if it was a family or a scout troop or something, some sort of expedition. There was kids and adults, and they tracked this thing all the way down the side of this ridge. But I wish, and maybe I hope I didn't cut it out, but maybe I did. I wish they'd zoom that camera back out and show just how far away.
Okay, we better have our Bible.
His arms obviously
Hold
hang.
on.
But look at those arms. Those arms are long.
His arms obviously hang below his knees.
Shh.
It could be, and it could be a guy with a backpack walking down the mountain. That would be my healthy skepticism that would tell me that.
Focus here. Right, there we go.
They lost it for a second. They do later find it. Here it is again.
Okay. So
I say we bag him.
Huh?
I don't know what the word.
We could probably get some pretty good
The-
money. Just tranquilize the sucker.
I think this was taken long before the burning existed, but this is definitely maybe like somebody.
It's not very
See,
good
there they
proof,
zoomed
though.
out a little
If you actually show up
and
with
they're
him
way-
sleeping in a cage,
But yeah, they're.
that's proof for you.
If they bring it all the way back, you'll see just how far away. Oh, and that
John's
looks
got
like he's.
22.
I don't. I can't figure out. What it is. It's oversaturated, all that, but there's never been a high quality
Definitely not
camera
gonna shoot him.
image or picture
No,
of
tranquilize him. You
Bigfoot.
can,
So, there's that.
John's a smart guy. He can figure out a way to use that gun.
All right, well, we're going to move to the next one, which is the Independence Day film. This is the Independence Day film, Bigfoot sighting, and yeah, I've got a lot to say about it. So give me your thoughts. Wait, there's only so many Bigfoot videos out. Some of them are just so bad you can't even show them. This one is one that I didn't want to show almost because of how bad it was. This, to me, and I think you agree, has hoax written all over it, right? Definitely looked like a mask. And then this next scene that you're about to see right even more so. Right here carrying the baby. So if it was an ape-like creature, that ape would be arms around its neck and all of that stuff. That is so bad. He carried that like a small child.
Someone, when the videos that seem to be the most real and most authentic is ones that when they are far away, but where you get a glimpse of like partial of their body because they are hiding. That one didn't care. That one's like alley rats that don't care about people being around. Like it just kept walking.
Yeah,
So that thing is somebody in a thing, and that little costume of that little kid's so cute.
I know that looked so fake, but that little the little fake costume one
And
was pretty cute.
The other thing is, how do we know that just wasn't at the zoo? And there was a worker there.
Because
and
again,
somebody took it out of context and turned it into a Bigfoot story.
well, because again, if it was some sort of gorilla, then it wouldn't be carrying its baby like. I mean, that's very clearly a person holding a young child in his arm versus the gorilla being, or the baby gorilla being wrapped around his neck and clinging to his side because they have really long arms. You know?
And my other thing is I honestly think because there's more activity at night that we can hear that we've heard in like other TV shows and movies and stuff, or not movies, but like TV shows and videos, that there's so much activity of like the sounds of that they're making. And I feel like they're more active at night, and I feel like it'd be hard to get probably a good quality video of any of it. I just feel like I feel like they're nighttime people.
There's tons of, and they
They
might
work
be
the night shift.
They do often they do often suggest that it's nocturnal, and that might be why we don't see it. But there are tons and tons of videos of audio, and I just didn't include that on there because there's no image to see. There's just not a lot exciting.
We watched that documentary about someone that analyzes it. It might have been the FBI thing on the History Channel thing about where they analyze the sound of the voice, and that there are some that they just can't explain, like because they don't sound like any other animal except for what possibly could be the sound that everybody is saying that is Bigfoot.
I mean, I believe in in science that I don't understand, like, you know, they can, I don't know, measure radio waves or audio waves or whatever else and come to conclusions, whatever. But I've also heard people screaming in the woods, and it turns out it's coyotes or foxes or something absolutely normal. So
no, the mountain lion one sounds like the dying lady in the woods.
That's not a mountain lion, but yeah, no, I understand what
it's
one.
A mountain lion.
Okay, well, I might not know what. We got a reminder, Christina. Thank you so much. Reminder to everybody who is watching to hit the like button. And guys, if you're enjoying the content and you aren't currently a subscriber, please consider being a subscriber and turn on notifications so you know every time we upload a new video or go live, because we're going to do this on a regular basis. So, hello to Mark Schaefer, and we got the question: if you could get a Bigfoot on the podcast, would you do it? You're damn right.
And you know what? I got one last thing. I know where else Bigfoot would live.
Where else would Bigfoot live?
So, you know, the suicide forest, and I think it's like Japan or China.
You're going to get me to try to say that, and I just can't.
You know,
I did a whole video on that, and I struggled with the name of that forest so much. But you cannot say that word, so don't explain what that.
No.
Self-harm forest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Japan.
I'm sorry. I didn't. Yes. I'm sorry.
I can.
I did not mean to. I didn't mean to say it. So
we can edit it out later. But yes,
they let you.
No, you can't say that.
Okay, that place. It's the forest out there that they tell people not to go out there at night.
I want to try to say it.
Well, you might as well say it because I completely just messed this whole thing up by saying what I said.
No, you're fine. But I'm not going to.
Anyway, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess that part up. I really.
So Bigfoot lives out in that forest, you think?
Why not? Because.
Well, I mean that's true about every forest. Why couldn't Bigfoot live in Branson, Missouri?
Well,
because it's a heavily wooded, nobody's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. One, people cannot go out there at night, and if they do. But
they can.
You'll never. But when my whole thing is like, why wouldn't Bigfoot be out there out of all places?
Well, it could be, but maybe it's not the habitat that it needs. I mean, Japan has a very different ecosystem than other parts of the world, so I'm sure that Japan has a Bigfoot-like creature, but is it Bigfoot? I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that if it exists that it wouldn't be there. I'm just saying that we haven't identified that it exists. That's but we have more videos to show, so let's talk about that. Let's get into those, because there are more videos that are a little bit more interesting.
I'll try to keep my stuff here.
We're good. We're going to go into there were 2 sightings in the Provo Canyon that were pretty popular at the time. They were big news when they happened. So we have Provo Canyon sighting number 1. And here's what we got. We are just in somebody's backyard, apparently. And they're filming their feet and then see a Bigfoot out in the street. Although this one is, a big hairy creature that stands on 2 legs. You'll see it stand up here in a second. Got any thoughts on this one so far? Do you see it there? Okay. That could be a bear. Could be a guy in a suit.
Let's go.
Okay. So that's Provo Canyon number.
And it also could have been for
2.
a college video
Could have.
class.
But I feel like you're making up reasons why it could be fake now when you're the one that believes Bigfoot is real.
I
So
can't, but
I
that
appreciate your help in making my point.
no, my whole thing is that there is evidence. There is. But these little videos
Well, I don't see where that one is. I mean, that one could be a bear that stands up on 2 legs. Like that doesn't, just what we watched in that short little clip there doesn't necessarily mean it was hoaxed. That could have been a real misidentified creature is what I'm getting. Some are clearly, like the last video we watched, the Independence Day one, that one is clearly hoaxed, which is why it's so hard to believe in Bigfoot, because there's so many of those out there. This one, to me, looks a little bit more realistic in that it could be a misidentification, or it could be a damn Bigfoot. I don't know. But you want to see the second one that came out of the same Provo Canyon in Utah? All right, here's the second. So it looks like a similar spot. You see that? It kneels down. And then here in a minute well, here it gets up, throws a rock, and then that happened. Right? So there it is. Let's watch the first part again real quick. Right here, you can see it walking upright. It looks massive. That looks big.
Yeah, it does. And
Looks
the
like a
whole
big
thing
gorilla
is you
suit,
can
but
put somebody in a costume and you can make them do that out in the woods and take a video of it. But the difference is just like in that thing we watched on the History Channel where they measured out, or it was like that video, they measure out how actually tall the person is by doing the math.
Yeah, they can
on the
absolutely
screen.
do all the research to figure out how tall that is, and probably zoom in and get characteristics of things that we can't see.
I don't know if I want to look that up.
What does it say? Look up stone.
Huh.
What does it say? I can't see it. It's
Look
behind
up
it.
Stone Cold
Oh,
meets
I'm not listening.
Bigfoot.
I'm looking up Stone Cold meets Bigfoot. We'll look at it.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is going to come out of Washington, and here's.
Can't see much up through here.
It's illegal. It's illegal
I
to
hear the
hunt
brush
Bigfoot.
popping and stuff.
This one, I think I didn't clip this one out. I didn't shorten the video on this one. I left the whole thing in.
Oh, there he
You can
goes.
see Bigfoot there in the background, supposedly walking. He will follow this on the trail for a while. I did cut some of the end off because he uses it. This one, I have thoughts on, but go ahead, Mitchie.
In a 5-second clip of Bigfoot, that's more than probably what you were supposed to get in the beginning, where people are videotaping him.
I mean, if you were that close to a Bigfoot, that's the question we're going to talk about when we get done here is, what would you do?
Because the people that were probably actually close to Bigfoot are probably no longer around.
Possibly. But how do you know that Bigfoot's not a herbivore? I mean, just because even if Bigfoot existed, doesn't mean he's out murdering people. He could eat leaves and plants and...
Probably shouldn't say that.
Well, he's probably out there. I mean, he could just as likely be out there eating vegetables and plants and other stuff. It doesn't mean, because you don't find a lot of just dead ransacked carcasses out there in the woods.
You think he's a vegetarian?
He could be. It's as plausible as him being a carnivore.
That's probably why he stinks so bad. They always say that smell, that really bad. Like
you're gonna go on record calling vegetarians out as smelling bad.
no, I mean, like, think about
I
it.
thought that's what you said.
No, oh my gosh,
Okay.
no, but they say he always stinks and everything else like that, and
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm guessing it's
you
because he's a
said
big giant hairy creature that
I
lives
know
in
this
the
is
woods
too.
and
I
doesn't
know this is
shower.
TMI, but you said your pee smells really bad when you eat okra or
Asparagus?
something. Yeah, asparagus.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what's the difference?
Okay, well the difference is if you were a zoo animal that didn't, not a zoo animal because they get bathed regularly, but if you were just a animal
They
that lived
bathe
out in the
too, and
wild, they stink because they don't.
I believe they stay next to like probably the river. I mean, they have to for a water
Oh,
source.
Bigfoot?
Yes,
Maybe.
and I also think they make a den that they have to, and they stay high up, or
Okay, so we have two more videos we're going to watch real quick. We have a Mississippi Bigfoot sighting, and then we have the famous Patterson-Gimlin film. So in the Mississippi Bigfoot, here is what we've got. We have a Bigfoot sitting next to a tree there in the center of your screen. You'll see it kind of up and down. That looks very kind of gorilla-like features, less than a bear, the head shape, so forth, the body style. Well, this is what I say in Mississippi. This would be similar to the skunk ape territory. No. I'm making a point that it doesn't look like a human. It's human-like creature. It looks more like an ape-like creature, like Bigfoot. So I'm just saying this is not a bear, right? This is either a hoax, a person in a costume. And there you go. He stands up, the guy runs away, freaks out. That's it.
yeah, I would be freaked out too.
So
There's one where there's a sorry. Do you mind if I say it?
No,
real quick?
please.
And then I'll end it. I'll stop. There's a video of a guy that went to go check his trail, or went to go get his trail cameras or something, or check his traps.
Mm-hmm.
And he went out there and was checking them, and then but there had been some like weird activity like near the camera, like it was getting knocked over, and then the sound started happening.
Yep.
The
Yep.
woof,
Yep.
woof, whatever that is. The woof. I don't know what it is, but
It's
it's
a
like
real
they're-
high pitched.
Yes.
Weird.
And it's like,
sound.
and it was continuous, and he was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. And then
Yeah.
he kept hearing it, but he was also starting to hear branches snapping, like somebody's walking up on the ridge. And even though he didn't get the guy, like
the
that
Bigfoot
sound
himself.
in that pitch is, I mean, it's not easy to make, probably,
Right.
to recreate. And you can't recreate that. Like, you can probably edit it into your video somehow, but I think that would be almost difficult because the way that
No, I feel like that was a real video.
Yes.
I almost put that video in here, but the only reason I didn't is because there's no actual Bigfoot sighting. So that is a very, very well-known video, and he's checking the trail cam. He hears that, and he hears those sounds.
But
The
how's that
problem
not-
is that nobody can genuinely identify that sound as being related to a
they can't relate it
Bigfoot.
to anything. That's the thing, is that
True.
it is its own category. It is like, because that sound is so, and people, experts that study Bigfoot, they know the different calls. Like, they know if it's a female, they know if it's a male, they know if it's a mating
Well,
call.
Come on. No, they don't, because they don't know if
Seriously?
Bigfoot exists. Something is making that
Bigfoot
sound.
does exist.
Okay. All right. Hang on. BK Phipps says sounds and scents would make me believe if I seen something like that. Okay. So I'm going to say the whole point of this thing is there's no physical evidence for Bigfoot's existence other than, no, there's no physical evidence of Bigfoot's. There is tons of stories.
It's 'cause
There's
people
tons of
ruined it.
sightings. There's tons of video that may or may not be true.
You
But
think
my
because
point
it-
is, you can't tell me that there's a scientist.
You think because it's not in a museum of with its bones, like how the dinosaurs are, you think because it's not like that, that means
No, see, the whole thing is there's a whole.
people would hunt them and kill them if they found out Bigfoot
No,
was real.
there is a whole entire industry and profession called cryptozoology. They find new species of animals every day, nearly, and they find evidence or actual animals that they thought had gone long extinct. That is an entire legitimate profession out there. And nobody, not them, not anybody else, has ever identified an actual Sasquatch. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. What I am saying is there aren't people out there that know the difference between a female call and a male
Okay.
call, because they can't say with certainty that that sound is coming from a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So look at this. What about the footage from Todd standing? He has a very high quality footage of up close and personal footage of Bigfoot.
What about the footage from Todd standing?
All right.
I'm going to have to look that up. I have not seen that. We're going to have to look that one.
I think there is more evidence than what you
I'm
might.
sure there is. I just have an hour long that I'm trying to go, and we're already 11 minutes over, so I couldn't include everything.
I know. Okay.
We're going to get into the last film real quick.
I wrote that down, Nick. Him and I are going to look that up too.
And we will do some follow up and maybe even post some videos of follow ups of things that you guys suggest that we look up. And if it's real, we'll definitely include it. So we'll just take that into consideration. So, all right, last film is the Patterson-Gimlin film, the one we all know probably more than any other. This is where it all started. I did edit out the first few seconds of it just because the camera's so shaky, it'll make you sick.
Can we not do sound because of the...
They hear the sound.
Oh, they hear. We just don't. Okay. Yeah. I got my computer.
We can get earpods or AirPods or whatever and do that in the future. But right now, no, we don't have sound.
What'd you just call them?
Earpods. AirPods.
I'll get you some Emu ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the last one we're going to get into is the famous Patterson-Gimlin. Here it is. Bigfoot himself. Turns, looks at the camera, swings his big long arms, and he goes off down into the woods. That's the part we most normally recognize. He does come around the corner here, and watch him go down further into the tree line somewhere. And there he is walking away. And that's that's probably the most famous images or video of Bigfoot that we have. That was on 8mm, and or not 8mm. I don't know what kind of camera, but it was. I don't know. It wasn't. I mean, it was the best evidence we have. I think even still to this day, and we have everybody in this world now has the 4K ultra high definition cameras on all of their cell phones. Even hikers out in the woods.
Well, how many people compared to the 1950s do you think are out in the, or is camping still compared? Because look how much.
Say that again because I missed it.
How many people do you think are out there camping like they used to in the 1950s when there was no cell phones, there was no of this?
I think if you watch Kyle Hates Hiking, as we do often,
there's not very.
There are a ton of people that
there
hike
is a
and
ton,
camp in the
but
woods.
not near the amount of families that go out camping or go out fishing.
I highly disagree. Just because camping is still a top tier.
I've known you for this long, and I have never
I wouldn't do it.
You and I got freaked out being outside, and I used to go camping. But you and I
know people that rather than sitting down and watching a movie would rather go hiking in the woods. We know those people. We don't hang out with them. But
I got a lot of hair, and there's ticks that go in your hair.
So there's a ton of people that go camping, hike the Appalachian Trail, hike the.
I think that's fantastic, but I think that the amount of people, they're so focused. I don't know if they're as focused on what they're looking around compared to. I just think the generations are different.
So Nick says, because this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this Patterson-Gimlin film. Nick says, these men went to their grave believing that they saw Bigfoot. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. What I do know and what I read recently, and again, just because I saw it on the internet doesn't make it true, but these guys started an entire profitable Bigfoot movement, selling merchandise, selling stuff based on Bigfoot because of this film. So is it that far outlandish for me to think that they created this for the purpose of profitability, to make money off of it? Could they have hoaxed this? Absolutely. But they did go to their graves saying that it was true.
So they did, and his wife 100% believed him too. But my other thing is, I completely just lost.
All right. Well, let's just.
I know, but I know it was important.
Make you big screen. So
I know it was important.
Well, you'll find it.
Okay, I'll gotta find it. Let me find it.
Okay.
So.
I mean, the Patterson-Gimlin film is.
Okay, here's a good point. BK Phipps said, remember seeing that. No,
Yep.
wait, that's not the right thing that I was looking at. Oh, why do people want to kill them if they see one? And I'm going to tell you this, that if I found evidence of Bigfoot, if I found 100% evidence of Bigfoot, and I was like, called whoever, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I probably would not want to call, because here's the thing.
You just want to let them be.
I just want to let them be.
Just
And I
let-
think,
let
and
'em
no
be.
offense, but I think that's partially why part of the laws are the way they are.
Listen.
And I think that if we called 911, the government's going to swing by and pick up somebody.
Name me your top 3 most beautiful living animals on the planet. What do you think are like the 3 most beautiful, amazing, powerful animals?
Baby Highland cows, pandas,
Yes.
and I really like tigers.
Yes.
And I like.
So hold that thought. You hit it right
And
there
monkeys.
on the head.
I love monkeys.
I know, but hold
they
on.
all make me so happy.
Okay, but hold on.
Giraffes.
Sweetie, I need you to focus on the tigers for a second.
Okay.
Siberian tigers, or the bright, beautiful orange, black
My
coats.
aunt, remember I told you my aunt had two
Yes.
2 orange and 1 white in her backyard.
Yes. So my former boss has an entire tiger mounted in his office. Why would people go out and shoot Bigfoot if they saw it? Because hunters hunt for
Did I
sport.
mention elephant?
And elephants get shot
I want
by
I love
hunters
them
who
because
hunt
they
for
want the
sport.
ivory. I know.
And no, not because they want the ivory, because they hunt for sport. People hunt for sport every day all across the world.
Why
And
don't
because of that,
they can kill the birds?
and because of that, there were plenty of people who would absolutely hunt down Bigfoot and kill it.
So why wouldn't you? I mean, but to pass that law, like that's what gets me, is the fact that it was a law that was passed on
That you can't hunt Bigfoot.
a creature or whatever it is. It'd be like, we're going to make a law today. We can't go shoot unicorns.
Okay, let me tell you another reason that these laws could exist. To bring attention to the town. You can pass a law. I mean, I can.
We're saying state.
I can petition to have a law passed in my city, county, state, federal government, all of those things.
These are state laws.
I'm saying that I can petition the government in my state or in the federal government or in my city, county, local, whatever. I can petition the state to have a law enacted. If that state chose to enact that law, it doesn't mean that my law had merit to stand on. If I said we are not allowed to shoot aliens, that law could get passed. Doesn't mean we've seen or know of aliens. It might in Nevada.
But just because you petition.
No, I can get it passed into law.
So you can petition it, but it doesn't mean that doesn't mean they're going to accept it.
Does not mean it's going to get adopted as law. No. But if you had a state or a county or a city or anything else that wanted to bring attention to themselves, passing a law like you can't hunt Bigfoot would bring quite a bit of national attention to.
And it's just crazy that 3 of like the major states that are, I don't know how to say this.
Yeah.
But, okay. 3 of the main
for Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah, no, well, not just Bigfoot sightings, because this is also, I think it all combines a little bit with, you You know, you always say how the news and the media only reports what they need to report or what they want to report,
Yes.
not the full, maybe all of it. Well, we only find out so much about UFOs because they only allow so much to come out.
Correct. But
I feel like they
what benefit to the United States government or any foreign government
mass
would it
hysteria.
be to hide Bigfoot's existence? UFOs,
Because you're going to have a bunch of
they hide
hits going out there shooting each other.
No, okay. So the reason that they hide the existence of UFOs is because it could cause mass hysteria, and mass hysteria leads to horrendous, horrible things. So the government could theoretically keep that from the people because it resolves the greater good of not causing mass hysteria. Bigfoot wouldn't do that. I mean, the people who believe Bigfoot exists already believe Bigfoot exists. If all of a sudden the government came out and said Bigfoot exists, he's just hard to find, I don't think you would suddenly have hundreds and thousands and millions of more hunters out there in the woods trying to kill Bigfoot. Maybe you would.
So I think you would, because if you have that one local legend, shark, fish, mermaid looking creature out there, you are going to have 100 people coming at once to try to get this thing. And it will cause a mass hysteria.
So if you didn't want to cause a mass hysteria based on a myth or something that doesn't exist, but people believed it, what would you do? You would pass a law that says you're not allowed to do it, because you would prevent hundreds of people going into the woods and cross-firing against each other and killing each other by mistake. So the laws could exist simply for safety of human life.
Well, then why wouldn't everybody have that law, including Missouri?
Because the Pacific Northwest and some areas of the country are much more convinced that such a creature exists, and they're going to be more protective. There are reported sightings in Missouri all the time. In fact, I have a, this comes from, where does this come from? This comes from the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and it shows reported sightings from all over the country. And these are like 7, 14, 21 days within the last year, 5 years, etc. And you can see the concentration is up in the Northwest. That's where a majority of the Bigfoot sightings come from. So you're going to get laws like that because there's so many people out in the woods carrying guns around looking for Bigfoot. So, I do, because we've gotten so far from watching those videos.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I just want to reel back real quick, though, because it does answer a question, or it brings up the question of what would you do if you ran into a Bigfoot. And as you saw in those videos, one of two things happened. Either somebody saw Bigfoot and moved with it to try to capture it for as long as they could, or the moment that they were filming this creature that stood up and became clear that it was, to them, in their minds, a Bigfoot, they hauled ass, right? They ran for their life. The camera ended then, or the shot ended then. You have two kinds of people that go towards it, and the other person is the kind that run away and run fast. I'm saying if I heard the calls that they say are Bigfoot calls, if I smelled the smell that they say are Bigfoot smells, and I saw a giant ass hairy thing coming at me, maybe not even coming at me, but nearby in the woods, I'd be out, right? I mean, I'd throw you to the ground on my way past you because I don't have to be the fastest. I just have to be faster than a second.
But if you're used to hearing that when you go out there, sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I would throw you down and sacrifice. You would do that to me, and I respect it.
I can climb a tree. Can you? I don't know if I can anymore.
How high do you need to climb it? This thing's 12 feet tall with an arm span of God knows what, right?
I don't know, but I just feel like if I tried to climb the tree, you would actually probably try to climb it too, thinking it'd be a good hiding spot, and then realize you can't do it. And by then, Bigfoot's already caught up with you.
You literally
or he's going to jump through a portal like Sega.
You literally look at
Sonic the Hedgehog.
You think for 1 second my ass is climbing a tree? Not even close. Not even close. I wouldn't climb a tree if I'd just be gone. Anyway, I know bears can climb trees,
I
but
feel
I'm
like
sure Bigfoot can climb a tree as well.
I feel
So
like you'd
that's
have
not
to.
where I would go.
I feel like you'd have to follow that rule, like if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back.
I don't even believe
And
any
if
of
it's
that
white,
anyway.
you're done.
Yeah, by the
So
time you've seen it,
I feel
you're
like we
already
go to
dead.
Florida, we're done with the old ones. And I feel like, well, the skunk people. And then I feel like if we are, yeah, I feel like if we're in the Yetis, I think we're fine.
Listen, Yeti lives in the snowy mountains of the
With
Himalayas.
the polar
We are
bears.
never going to cross paths with a Yeti or abominable snowman. As much as it would absolutely warm my heart to see this thing out in the wilderness somewhere, I as much as I would love that, that's never going to happen.
So Nick,
Bigfoot, on the other hand, theoretically, we live in the United States. We could cross paths with a Bigfoot.
yeah.
I'm not trying to make friends with it. It is not Harry and the Henderson. We're not putting it in our
I
basement.
loved that movie when I was a kid, though.
Well, of
And I
course
used
you
to,
did.
I had a dream one time that I brought Bigfoot home with me. And because you said I couldn't bring home a dog or a cow or anything. So I brought home Bigfoot and kept him in the pig.
Okay. So here's the
He
deal.
was cute.
Final thoughts. I'm going to give my final thoughts. We'll give you the floor to your final thoughts.
Okay.
I am 100% here with Christina. And I'm going to say, with the modern technology that exists out there, with the number of people hiking throughout the woods, both in the Pacific Northwest and all around the country, with high definition cameras all on their cell phone, with all of the you get your time.
Sorry.
With all of the high definition stuff that's out there, with the number of people that are hiking, with all of the ground to air, air to ground, radar, imaging, heat sensory technology, all of that stuff, if with all the things that exist in modern science and modern technology today, the fact that there are no known hair samples that have turned out to be real, no DNA samples, no decomposed bodies, no bones, no evidence outside of casted footprints that are easily faked, with no evidence of any real legitimate, even video. As much as Bigfoot is one of my favorite things in the world. I freaking love Bigfoot. But I have to say, Bigfoot doesn't exist. And it's not real.
Why do you
and
like
we can
him?
stop looking for it. That's what I think.
Why do you like him?
Because because of what it represents.
What is it?
It's pop culture to its finest. Bigfoot has been the hide and seek champion for all time and eternity.
Are we talking about the brand that guy made up?
The brand of Bigfoot.
Or are we talking Bigfoot itself?
I'm talking about the brand of Bigfoot. I love all things associated with Bigfoot. I love the passion behind the conversations. I love everything about the Bigfoot story. I just cannot say that I believe that Bigfoot exists without further evidence suggesting that it is. So with that being said, you're up.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I want to know your position on Bigfoot. We're wrapping it up. This is it.
All right. I believe Bigfoot's real. There you go. I said it.
With no explanation.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I think same thing I said earlier. If I was to find evidence that I found skeletal remains of Bigfoot, do you think I would turn those in?
No, it sounds
I
like
don't,
you'd let
because
him live.
I also think
let
that
him be.
so many people have ruined like being able to explain that what Bigfoot is, where he came from, all of that stuff. I just feel like people have ruined that to where it'd be so much harder to prove that he is real to the ones that don't believe. And I believe it. I mean, I've done my research. I did countless papers in college over Bigfoot stuff and all that other stuff because I used it for one of my psychology papers. But Nick keeps saying we need to look at that.
I know. So, Nick, I promise you I'm going to look that up.
I Googled that guy's name too.
My only issue is that with this being our first of these podcasts and my slow learning curve on OBS, I don't know how to do that and share that on camera while we talk about it. So I can look it up independently real quick and watch it, or I can do it after the live.
I can look it up here on the computer. Oh, I could look at it.
Yeah, I
online.
just can't share it on the screen because I
I
don't
can
know
watch it
how
on
to
the
add
laptop,
it in the midst of.
but I googled that. I did Google that, by the way, and and same as what you and I are doing. From what I don't know what the video is because I didn't look at the video. I just saw like the headlines because the first thing that came up was about being a hoax and everything else like that. And it's like that's the whole thing though. I can because I've never seen this video that we're hearing about. Never heard about this person or anything. So if I watch this and I know that hey, I'm watching it, I've never seen it before, I'm gonna go off of what my reaction is. And then what happens next is I'm gonna Google it. And then what happens after that is I go down this rabbit hole of just inhaling every piece of information that I can, including whatever Reddit comes up with. And
Mhm.
it's funny because you can get two different sides of Reddit. You get the believers and you get the skeptics and you get the I don't know how to disprove it or I don't know that why is it like this then? Because it my whole thing is there's so many I can look at those one videos and be like, "All right, that's fake." Like to me that's fake.
Right.
But I can look at another one and still
It's
question it.
very, very legitimate and easy to believe that something exists out there. There are reported sightings damn near daily across the United
Yeah.
States. There are creatures that have been reported from around the world for hundreds of years. There is all kinds of, it still sparks interest and intrigue at all times. There are so many sightings and stories on a regular basis. It's very easy to buy into it and believe it. And I don't fault anybody that does. It's just hard for me as a healthy skeptic to believe it
Why do
without
you
any
gotta say it
hard
like that and then go
physical evidence. It just is. I mean, because you and I laugh about this idea that healthy skepticism versus what you are, which is, I don't know what the name of it is. But
crazy?
I love the fact that you will hear something
Yeah.
or see it and then believe it. And then,
I'll question if it's I have to
well,
you
you'll
have to
still do the research,
because I have to inhale everything.
but you're more likely to believe it and then study it and disprove it, or study it and further more strongly believe it.
Yeah.
Versus I'm just like, that's BS, and then go down through all the research and then go, oh, holy crap, I was wrong, that is real. Or, see, I told you it was BS. But it's just it's the same, we follow the same path. It's just the starting point.
But
I'm
can
like,
you
nope, and you're like, yep, and then we do the research and we come to the right conclusion or
but
a conclusion.
can you be a we're just
I,
gonna put this on a scale of everything. Like a scale of any type of like Bigfoot things or like all the way to like paranormal, whatever you want to call it. Can you be a believer and then not be a believer at all where you where you have to question everything?
I was a diehard believer in Bigfoot at one point in my life. I was a diehard believer in the Loch Ness Monster at one point.
But
But
something
then that
changed, something
became,
clicked, and then you became,
well, Loch Ness Monster, the guy came out and said that most famous photo that stirred up the entire controversy in the first place was fake.
but they all
That's
said that. Like they all went back and forth with it.
Patterson-Gimlin have not.
Hmm?
They did not. Patterson-Gimlin, who have that video, the most well-known video of Bigfoot, went to their graves saying that was real. The guy who tied a dinosaur head on a little toy boat or submarine confessed that it was a hoax. That's the origin story of the Loch Ness Monster. I don't believe there's a plesiosaur in the loch. I do believe that there are sightings of very strange things, but again, there is no evidence of such a creature existing. So, yes, I can be a believer just as I have in other aspects, but I can prove myself wrong, or I can later through
But when
evidence
did you stop
disagree.
believing in the Bigfoot thing?
I don't know, maybe the first time I researched it.
Like, how old were you?
I have no idea.
Like, was this like in your 20s?
I don't know how long I believe in Bigfoot. At face value, next week I might say I believe in Bigfoot based on just the face value of, hey, somebody else reported a sighting. Here's the video. I'm like, oh my God, it is real. Okay,
I don't,
but
and I think if I had, you know why? There's a lot of those weird stories that people don't want to talk about it, like about what they saw. because
There will
they're
be,
worried that it might cause attention.
listen, there will be evidence that supports Bigfoot come out someday. I'm not saying there's not. There is evidence out there that I haven't even researched yet. There's things that are going to come up that might make me believe in Bigfoot again. But right now, as of this live, I'm just taking the position I'm taking.
And I
Doesn't make me wrong and you right,
No,
or
it
you
does-
right and me wrong, or any of that stuff.
Listen, I have fought to the
I think I
death
just
trying to
said the
get you to. And here's the thing: you have to see it to believe it.
I
Flat
don't
out.
necessarily have to see it to believe it.
You wouldn't believe the scientists that would probably come out and say that Bigfoot was real. You would still question it
Sweetie,
because
if they brought a Bigfoot onto national television, I might for a minute believe it.
But that's the bad thing, is that once they say we have Bigfoot skeletal remains here in our office, you are going to have every single crazy Bigfoot person that is dedicated going out in that forest every day out there hunting Bigfoot.
I get it.
They would not ever I'm sorry, they wouldn't release that. You'll never know.
You'll know if some guy is out hiking the Appalachian Trail and comes across a Bigfoot and films it on, God forbid, his iPhone that has a real freaking camera on it not from 1912 that can take decent quality video. That's all I'm saying.
Because
why
nobody
is every
thinks,
video always on the shittiest camera you've ever seen in your life?
because people don't always think to grab their phone out to take a video.
But they pulled out their old Polaroid from 1912 and wound it. I mean, we have the video. It's so bad. All right. Anyway.
What, from 1950 something?
No, yeah. Even today's
That's from
Bigfoot sightings.
1950.
Look at the sightings look at the videos that we've seen today. Those are all relatively new.
You looked at the worst
recent
one. You
videos.
picked the worst ones.
You feel free to pick out any ones you want because those are the best of the ones that are out there.
Those were the worst ones. I've seen way better.
Mitchie, I searched dozens of sites for the top video footage of Bigfoot's existence.
Like you did with the Amazon movies?
And the ones that had crossover from every one of those are the ones that I used. I used the most well-known, most possible real Bigfoot fight.
Let's go with what Nick said.
Okay.
Let's agree we need to see one
100%
dead
agree.
body to believe it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'd believe it then. But let's get after it. We need to wrap this thing up and talk about what we got coming up in the future.
We need it in the house. I'm sorry.
We need to talk about what's coming up in the future because we have all kinds of fun things. We're talking about all things here on Yet Another Average Podcast.
Because we went longer than what we
are going to be talking about UFO sightings, lost treasures. We got a video coming out on a famous lost treasure coming soon. We're going to be talking about cryptids. We're talking about paranormal stuff, UFO sightings. I think I said that.
You did, but I think that might have to be. That's probably going to be a multiple parts. That way we can keep it to an hour.
When I say UFO sightings, I have 50 plus specific UFO sightings that we're going to break down in future episodes or future podcasts. So it isn't one podcast, one episode related to UFO sightings. It's going to be a lot based on a lot of different sightings and so forth.
Because if we talked about UFOs, we'd be here.
Well, we're going to talk about UFOs, cryptids, lost conspiracy theories that turned out to be true, which is actually one of my favorite subjects. People were called crazy for believing certain things, and then later the evidence came out that it was real. So we're going to get into all of that stuff as well. That's what you can look forward to on Yet Another Average Podcast. We are going to put some clips up throughout the week that are going to kind of preview what's to come on the live. So you might see a 2 or 3 minute long video that's going to just kind of highlight the important parts of what subject matter we're going to talk about on Sunday's Live. And so we're going to go down all of these rabbit holes into the dark, deep, mysterious, strange, and even some relevant topics. Like we considered doing tonight's episode on the eclipse that's about to happen and all the conspiracy theories going on about the eclipse. I am not going to pull Mitchie's chain on that because we'll be here for another 2 hours.
No, we'd be here till the eclipse happened tomorrow.
So we're going to slow our roll and live to see another live
I
stream.
said it would be a great starter because it's a recent event coming up. And there's so much going on with it that you have no idea.
Okay,
Like there's more.
Nick brings up a great point. He said, let's talk about DB Cooper and the money he took. That is absolutely on the list. We are definitely going to be discussing that. Also, I do want to put it out there for anybody watching either right now or that watches here in the future. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you have input into something or you have a personal experience that you want to share, be sure to reach out to us at yetanotheraveragepodcast@gmail.com, and we can get you set up. We'll hear your story. If it fits with what we're doing, we will get you here on the live to join us so you can share that story and your insight on that. Curse of Oak Island is absolutely on there.
I would totally talk
about the Curse of Oak Island.
Yes.
So the video, just spoiler alert here, the video that I did yesterday that will be uploading this week. Yeah, that'll be uploading this week. Just highlighted some of the little key pieces of the lost treasure of the Knights Templar. And the lost treasure of the Knights Templar is connected to the Oak Island buried treasure.
Yeah,
There are people that believe that is the treasure that is buried on Oak Island.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that believe it's in the Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. There's a lot of other places in Europe it could be, but whatever. We can discuss it more because that video only highlights the surface, and we're going to get deep into that rabbit hole.
So we're also going to talk about ghosts.
We'll talk about ghosts.
And paranormal activity.
Talk about paranormal activity.
And haunted locations.
Sending love and good vibes from Atlanta, Georgia. Much love and to you as well. And thank you for being here and being part of all of this. Guys, we didn't get to every comment.
And I will definitely look up Bigfoot.
we are definitely trying to keep task on the podcast and what's going on. We definitely do want to include the chat and the comments as well. It's hard to do because I'm not seeing it all, so I need to do some things to fix it.
I'm seeing them. That's why I've been trying.
Yeah, but I'm also, this as a podcast, it will be just more difficult to follow along with the comments because we're going to try to stay focused and stay course. He's
literally saying that to me.
With what's going on. I definitely want to include the chat and everything else that's going on. So just bear with us. If we didn't mention you, I apologize. Thank you all for being here.
I've been trying to read and keep up with it as we're talking. Yeah. And really, like, the conversations that him and I are having are literally what we have off camera. Yeah. And
the only thing that I know with 100% certainty when Mitchie is my co-host on this channel is that nothing will go according to plan, and that is what makes it great. So
you better remember that.
Just keep doing what you do. I'll do my best to reel it in, but
I must have made a really good dinner tonight. Yeah. Gave me a compliment.
I'll do my best to keep us on task and on focus, but it is what it is, and there's nothing wrong with it.
And no offense, but I work on Sunday morning, so I don't really stay focused when I get to this time of the night.
And I agree that the same will be said for any guests that we have on. And so if somebody wants to come on and share their experience, then we'll have those same things. We try to stay focused, but it is what it is, especially with the subject matter we're talking about.
You don't always.
It's going to be difficult. But guys, anyway, let's wrap this up and just say that we appreciate each and every one of you being here, and we are on schedule for every Sunday, 7 p.m. Central as well. We are going to do.
But Bailey's got a dance competition next weekend, so I won't.
So Mitchie won't be here next weekend. So if you know anybody or you have anything that you want to share and you want to be a guest on here, I am looking for a co-host Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central. Just reach out to me. Those of you that know me, reach out to me any way you want. Those of you that might not, reach out to me at yetanotheraveragepodcast@gmail.com. Check out our social media, all that good stuff. But guys, we do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications. Share this with anybody that you think might enjoy this kind of content. And make sure you turn on bell notifications. That way you know when we do go live in the future. So stay tuned for next week when we talk about some more fun, interesting,
and maybe
unique things.
We might be home by then. I don't really know.
Even if I schedule a guest and you're home, there'll be 3 of us. So that's what we've got for tonight. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will
see you in the next one.
Oh, yeah, we will. It's been a long time. I've been wanting to say that for a minute. Love you guys. Have a great night. You had something you wanted to say, Mitchie?
I was going to say I'll yap in
Let's yap in the next
That's
one.
so
That's right.
Stupid. Don't ever say that again.
I love that one.
I don't like it.